The scream came from the stairwell at 2:17 a.m. Not loud, not desperate, just wrong. It slid through the dorm like cold air under a door, thin, dragging, unfinished. I woke with my heart already racing, as if my body had heard it before my mind could catch up. The radiator beside my bed clanked once, then went silent. Outside the window, snow pressed against the glass, swallowing the campus in white stillness. Someone laughed down the hall, then stopped. I lay there, staring at the ceiling where old water stains bloomed like dark flowers. My phone buzzed. A single message from an unknown number. "Did you hear that too?" I typed back before thinking. Hear what? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Don't open your door tonight." A door creaked somewhere below me. Slow, careful, like someone testing whether the sound would travel. I swung my legs off the bed and moved to the peephole. The hallway lights flickered, dimming the long corridor into something unreal. Too stretched, too narrow. At the far end, near the emergency exit, a shape stood where the stairwell should have been. Not moving, not breathing, just waiting. My phone buzzed again. "It knows you're awake now." The hallway lights went out, and something began climbing the stairs. By morning, the scream had already begun to fade. Not from memory, from importance. Whitmore dorm woke slowly, like it always did in winter. Radiators hissed and knocked with arthritic patience. Someone's alarm bled through the walls, muffled and distant. Outside, snow fell in thick, silent sheets, pressing the world flat and colorless. The kind of snow that erased footprints within minutes. The kind that made distance feel infinite. I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the sound in my head. It hadn't been loud enough to justify panic. That was the problem. It hadn't carried the urgency of danger. No crash. No frantic footsteps. Just a thin, stretched sound, like someone calling out from the bottom of a well and realizing too late that no one was listening. At 2:17 a.m. I checked the time again to be sure. The number felt important now, like it had been pressed into me. Mark stirred in the other bed, groaning as he rolled onto his side. He hadn't woken up during the scream. That bothered me more than if he had. "Hey," I said quietly. "What?" he mumbled, eyes still closed. "You hear anything last night?" Silence. Then a sigh. "Dude, it's Whitmore. The pipes scream. The walls scream. I scream when you steal my charger." That wasn't. He was already asleep again. I got up and crossed the room. The floor was cold enough to bite. When I leaned toward the window, the glass felt numb beneath my fingertips. Outside, the campus was barely visible. Snow-swallowing buildings, paths, signs. Everything familiar reduced to vague shapes. Isolation wasn't loud. It was empty. In the hallway, students passed each other with their heads down. No one made eye contact. The third-floor stairwell door was shut tight, a yellow sign taped crookedly across it. Out of order. Do not use. I stood there longer than I meant to. The metal door looked damaged. Not broken. Worn. Scratches ran along the lower half, shallow but numerous, overlapping in messy arcs, as if something had tried many times and failed to find the right angle. A girl brushed past me, shoulders hunched, earbuds in. As she passed the stairwell, she flinched. Not enough to draw attention, just enough that I noticed. "Hey," I said. "Do you know what happened here?" She didn't stop walking. "Don't stand near it," she said, and disappeared around the corner. Classes blurred together. Professors spoke, words drifting past without landing. My notes turned into jagged lines and half-written sentences. Every time a door opened behind me, my shoulders tensed. Every time someone laughed too suddenly, my pulse jumped. At lunch, the dining hall buzzed with the low hum of people trying very hard not to talk about something. That scream last night. Probably a prank. Someone from North Hall. Old buildings make noise. Each explanation landed and slid away, unsatisfying. By evening, the snowstorm worsened. Wind pushed against Whitmore's walls like it wanted inside. The building responded with groans and pops, its age revealed in every sound. The lights flickered at 11:43 p.m. At 11:58, the heating shut off. Cold crept in fast. Mark wrapped himself tighter in his blanket. If I freeze to death, I'm haunting housing services. I smiled because it felt expected of me. At 12:02 a.m., someone knocked on our door. Once. The sound was too deliberate to be accidental. Mark groaned. Ignore it. I stood anyway. The hallway light outside our door buzzed faintly. I leaned toward the peephole. Empty corridor. Long, too long. The far end blurred into shadow. I placed my hand on the doorknob. "Hello?" I asked. No answer. Then, quietly, close enough that I could hear breath. "Ethan." My hand fell away from the door. The voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It said my name like it belonged in its mouth. "Who is this?" I asked. A pause. "You know me." The lights flickered. When they steadied, the hallway was empty again. I backed away until my shoulders hit the opposite wall. Mark sat up. "What?" "No one," I said. That was the first lie. I didn't sleep. I watched the door until my eyes burned. At 2:17 a.m., the heating clicked off again. And from somewhere deep inside the building, from the direction of the stairwell, I heard movement. Slow. Careful. Like something climbing and listening at the same time. My phone buzzed in my hand. Unknown number. "You heard it too, didn't you?" I stared at the message, heart hammering. Then another came through. "If it says your name again, don't answer." A third followed almost immediately. "It's closer now." The sound from the stairwell stopped. And in the silence that followed, I realized something far worse. Whatever had been climbing was already on my floor. Morning arrived reluctantly, as if Whitmore dorm itself was unsure it wanted another day. The snow hadn't stopped. It pressed against the windows in uneven layers, muting the outside world until the campus felt sealed off, preserved in white silence. My phone still rested in my hand when I realized the message thread from the unknown number was gone. Not deleted, never there. No call log. No notification history. Just my memory. That unsettled me more than the messages themselves. Mark noticed my pacing as we got ready for class. "You look like hell," he said, tying his boots. "You dream or something." "No," I said too quickly. "Did you hear anything last night?" After the knock. He shrugged. "Nothing. You worry too much, man." But he avoided the stairwell when we left. So did everyone else. The elevators became crowded despite their tendency to stall. People waited longer rather than walk past the yellow warning signs. Someone had scrawled something beneath one in black marker. "It's not broken. It's hungry." Facilities painted over it by noon. That afternoon, I skipped class and went to the dorm archives in the basement, an unused study room where old campus records were dumped and forgotten. The air smelled like dust and cold paper. I didn't know what I was looking for until I found it, a thin folder marked Whitmore incidents, closed. Inside were reports spanning decades. Power outages. Students trapped during winter storms. Unexplained injuries in stairwells. Noise complaints logged at exactly 2:17 a.m. The earliest report dated back to 1968. One line had been underlined so hard the paper tore. Student reports hearing own name called from stairwell during blackout. My stomach tightened. I photocopied what I could and left when the lights flickered overhead. Just once, but enough to send me running. By nightfall, Whitmore felt tighter. The hallways seemed narrower, corners sharper. Doors that used to be opposite each other now felt slightly misaligned, like the building had shifted while no one was looking. Hannah found me sitting on the stairs, not the stairwell, just the steps near the common room. "You're digging," she said. It wasn't a question. "You knew about this," I said. "About the cold term." Her face drained of color. "Lower your voice." "Why didn't anyone stop it?" She laughed softly, humorless. "Stop what?" "A building remembering." She told me the rest then. pieces she'd hoped never to say aloud. Whitmore was built over something older. Not a graveyard. Not a ritual site. Just a place where winter once trapped people inside during a storm so bad rescue never came. They rationed heat. They closed off sections. And someone, one student, was left behind in the stairwell during a blackout. Not locked in. Forgotten. He screamed until his throat bled, Hannah said. But the building was loud back then. No one noticed. What happened to him? Her eyes flicked toward the stairwell door. He learned the sound of voices while he froze. That night, the first disappearance became impossible to ignore. Room 314. Empty. The door stood open. Bed stripped. Desk cleared. No signs of struggle. Just a faint smell of cold air, sharp and clean like snow. "That's Mark's friend," someone whispered. Mark went pale. He was here yesterday. At 2:17 a.m., the heating shut off. And this time, the voices came from everywhere. From vents. From behind walls. From inside rooms that were locked and dark. "Help me. I can't feel my hands. Don't let it take me." Someone screamed and ran down the hallway, straight toward the stairwell. We never heard him hit the bottom. After that, paranoia settled in like frost. People stopped sleeping. Phones stayed clutched tight. Names were whispered like spells, tested carefully in private. Everyone had heard something by now. Everyone knew the rules without being told. Don't answer your door at night. Don't follow voices. Don't go near the stairs after midnight. But rules only matter if they can be kept. On the fourth night, Mark didn't come back. His bed stayed empty. His phone buzzed unanswered on his desk. I stood in the doorway until my legs trembled, staring at the hallway, waiting for him to appear and laugh it off. He never did. At 2:17 a.m., someone knocked on our door. Once. "Ethan," a voice said. Mark's voice. Perfectly tired. Perfectly annoyed. "Open up." I sank to the floor. "You left," I whispered. "I got turned around," it said. "The stairs are messed up. Just let me in." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. That isn't him. The door handle turned slowly. If you open it, it learns faster. "I'm cold," Mark's voice said, closer now. "Don't be an asshole." I covered my ears and squeezed my eyes shut. The handle stopped turning. When I looked again, the hallway was empty. By morning, more rooms were vacant. Administration called it early winter withdrawal. We called it something else. The building was changing. Doors led to longer hallways than before. Windows looked out on snow where courtyards should be. Stairwells appeared where walls used to be, their doors breathing faint clouds of frost. And always, always, the sound of something climbing. Slow. Patient. Listening. I realized then that Whitmore wasn't haunted. It was learning. And winter had only just begun. The fifth night arrived like a predator. The storm had buried the campus so completely that the dorm felt sealed in ice. No cars. No footsteps. Just Whitmore and us. 10 of us. 10 survivors. Each one drawn together by fear and the knowledge that winter had already chosen its victims. We gathered in the common room, stacking chairs against the door, tapping flashlights along the walls. The emergency lights flickered weakly, giving our shadows a life of their own, stretching along the room like anxious fingers. Snow pressed against the windows with relentless weight, the muffled wind whining like a creature scratching at the glass. Hannah spoke first. Her voice was low, tight, trembling. "It's learning our voices. Every sound we make, every name we whisper, it remembers. It copies. It waits." I tried to focus, but my eyes kept darting to the hallway. Doors were opening, closing, slowly. The pattern was deliberate. Something was testing the perimeter, learning where we were weak. A scream came from above us. Not long, not loud, but cut off abruptly. Silence immediately followed, and it felt heavier than the sound itself. Then the whispering began. "Ethan. Don't leave me. Please open the door." The voices overlapped, impossible to distinguish. Every sound familiar, every plea personal. My head spun. A flash of movement caught my eye. The common room door rattled violently, the stacked chairs trembling against the floor. A voice, slow and deliberate, broke through. It was Mark's. "Let me in," it said. I froze. The words were identical to his, down to the way he emphasized let. My hand shook on the flashlight. "No," I whispered. "It's not you." The doors began to unlock themselves. The walls groaned, as if the building were inhaling. Frost appeared along the edges of the windows. The temperature dropped sharply. Breath turned visible in ghostly puffs. Then the walls shifted. A corner of the room elongated impossibly, stretching toward a stairwell that had never been there before. The ceiling trembled. Something moved above us in the new stairwell, slow, heavy, learning how to descend without sound. "I remember you," the entity whispered. Multiple voices. Mark, Hannah, others, echoes of students who were gone. The panic hit. Screams erupted. Some ran, barreling into walls that weren't where they should be. Some answered the calls, unlocking doors in desperate hope, and vanished instantly, absorbed into corridors that twisted impossibly. I fell back against the wall, flashlight clattering to the floor. Shadows danced along the warped walls, familiar hallways turning alien. Every door led somewhere else. Every stairwell led nowhere but further into the building's hunger. I saw it then, never fully visible. Only a shape, tall, shifting, its form bleeding between the silhouettes of those it imitated. Its face was my own reflection, then Mark's, then a dozen distorted students staring through me. It moved with certainty, not hesitation, not fear, only purpose. Its whispers invaded my mind. "You stayed. You can't leave. You know my voice." I ran, desperate, feet slipping on cold tile, flashlight swinging wildly. Hallways twisted, leading me back to the common room I had just fled. Doors opened where none should have been. Frost coated the walls in patterns that resembled scratches. Hundreds of claw-like streaks. Hannah's voice echoed from somewhere above. "Don't follow me." I sprinted toward a hallway that seemed solid, ignoring the voices calling my name. Doors unlocked themselves ahead of me, rattling like teeth. I realized then that the building wasn't just haunted, it was alive, and it remembered everyone who had ever entered. It spoke again, in multiple voices, overlapping, each tone intimate and terrifying. "I remember everything. I am everyone. And you are mine." Time fractured. Seconds stretched into minutes. The walls contracted and expanded, corridors folding impossibly over themselves. My sense of direction collapsed. I tripped, hitting the floor. Cold frost burned my hands. When I looked up, the stairwell door, just another one appearing where it shouldn't, was open. I could see shadows climbing slowly. Not running. Not panicked. Patient. Methodical. Waiting. I crawled to the door, hand trembling on the handle. The whispers became a roar inside my skull, voices of friends, strangers, students long gone, all demanding, pleading, mocking. "I'm right here," it said in Mark's voice. I wrenched the door open. Nothing. Silence. Then the air shifted. Frost swirled like smoke. And behind me, the shadows of those who were gone, Mark, the others, appeared, their faces twisted into expressions I couldn't comprehend. They reached for me slowly, deliberately. I bolted, running blindly. Hallways ended in walls, doors opened to nowhere, ceilings arched impossibly high. Whitmore Dorm had become a maze, a living thing, and winter had claimed it. Somewhere above I could hear the entity climbing. Slow, patient, learning my voice now, my fears. I realized the inevitable. It could not be outrun. It could not be fought. And it already knew my name. The last thing I saw before the hallway dissolved into shadow was a figure at the far end. Tall, shifting, wearing Mark's face, and the faint, inevitable whisper. "You stayed too long." The corridor swallowed me. Frost, shadow, and the echoes of the lost students closed in. And then silence. Spring arrived quietly, almost politely. The snow melted faster than anyone expected, leaving Whitmore Dorm dripping in gray, its edges glistening with half-frozen puddles. The campus reopened for classes, bustling with students and chatter. The dorm itself had been renovated, according to an official email. New locks, fresh paint, repaired stairwells. Nothing about the screams, the disappearances, or the nights that had twisted reality inside its walls. I stayed. I had nowhere else to go. Other survivors had transferred or left campus entirely. Hannah had gone without a word, her suitcase packed with speed and purpose. Mark was never found. The administration called it an early winter withdrawal, a vague explanation they hoped would erase him from memory. No one else mentioned him. No one asked. But I remembered. I remembered everything. The building changing while no one looked. The stairwells that led to nowhere. The voices that learned our names. The shadows that reached when we were too slow, too distracted, or too trusting. Whitmore Dorm appeared normal now. From the outside, it was just brick and frost-streaked windows, cold but inoffensive. The emergency lights hummed in their standard rhythm, the heating clicked predictably, and hallways stretched exactly as they should. Yet I knew better. Sometimes, when the wind shifts just right and the air grows cold enough, I can hear it again. Not a scream. Not a knock. Something subtler, more intimate. A whisper that belongs only to me. Ethan. I don't answer. My room is identical to how it was. My bed, desk, and chair in their proper places. My phone is where I left it. Yet sometimes when I lie awake, I swear the shadows aren't mine. They move differently. A corner darkens more than it should. A door creaks even when the building is empty. The hallway stretches longer. I see faces that vanish when I blink. Winter is coming again. I know because the air tastes sharper. Snow will fall. The building will shift. Stairwells will appear where walls belong. Doors will open to nothing, and the voices of the lost will echo for anyone foolish enough to listen. I try to warn people, but who believes a story like this? Freshmen arrive, eager and oblivious, carrying backpacks and optimism. They see the dorm as shelter from the cold. They don't hear the stairwell's faint breathing at 2:17 a.m. They don't notice how the walls subtly stretch when no one is looking. I do. Sometimes, when the lights flicker and the temperature drops, my phone buzzes with a message from an unknown number. Always the same. No sender, no trace. Just 3 words. Still awake. I don't reply. I don't move. Because I know deep down that somewhere in Whitmore Dorm, winter is always waiting. And it remembers. It remembers everyone. It remembers me. Some nights I can still hear Mark's voice. Not him, never him. Something wearing him. Calling from the stairwell, asking me to open the door. Promising warmth, promising safety. Offering the illusion of choice. I stay silent. I stay awake. Because if I answer, if I move, it will learn faster. The dorm is patient. It waits for the right moment, the right vulnerability, the moment when I am alone and tired enough to think I can escape. I have learned to sleep lightly, dream lightly, live lightly. My life is a series of half-lights, shadowed corners, closed doors. Every winter I remember. Every winter, I hear the building shift. And every winter, I know the truth. The dorm never forgets. The lost are never gone. And those of us who remain are only temporary guests. Because when winter fully claims Whitmore, there is no outside. There is no tomorrow. Only the building. Only the cold. Only the whispers. And me, still awake, still listening, still waiting, hoping that one day the walls will forget my name. But deep down, I know, they never will.